Welcome to Stars Podcast. Through self-defense, mixed martial arts, nutrition, family, and all things in between, we share our journey of how we hack our mind and body to get the maximum return out of each day. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the journey. Welcome back to Stars Podcast, your growth mindset mecca. This is your host, Ron Jordan, coming at you from Rosenzweig Studios in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. This episode is brought to you by Valor Personal Defense Group. Self-defense is a perishable skill. Only through continuous and consistent training will one be able to effectively employ a skill set that they have learned. Valor Personal Defense Group system is designed to offer constant, consistent, and affordable training to all individuals wanting to learn and stay sharp. We keep our firearms courses affordable to facilitate our continuous training philosophy. Now listeners of Stars Podcast get 15% off firearms courses with coupon code STARS21, which can be booked at valorcombatacademy.com.
Unmute. There we go.
There it is. What's up? Good morning.
Good morning, man.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Going.
Yeah. Are you in the gym now?
No. I'm just outside my house.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, guys, hey, welcome to Stars Podcast. This is Ron Jordan, your host, coming at you out of Rosenzweig Studios in Slippery Rock, PA. Coming at you today with a special guest, Quentin Rosenzweig. He is the Onnit. He is the Onnit 205-pound champion. He has tons of wins under his belt against some pretty notable characters, and also a 10th Planet Black Belt. So, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, he's out of Savannah, Georgia. I forgot to mention that part. So out of the dirty South, huh? Is that negative? Is that good? I don't know.
I love the South, man.
So are you born and raised down there?
I was born in New York. Spent a little time growing up in Miami, but mainly Atlanta. I moved to Savannah like a year ago to open my gym. I just love it here.
Yeah. And that was something that I noticed too, like 2 years ago, whenever you had the match at the Onnit Invitational, you were not under the 10th Planet umbrella, correct?
No. Well, ironically enough, there was a 10th Planet guy there coaching me because I didn't have anyone to coach me. So Brandon McCaffrey was coaching me. But no, I was under, was with a small team in Atlanta called Knuckle Up, which is where I started with, and only joined 10th Planet like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And how long you been doing jiu-jitsu?
Little over 14 years.
14 years doing this.
Yep.
That's insane. That is a long time. I've only been doing it for a couple years, and I just feel like the amount of knowledge that I still have to gain just to be like even remotely considered anything is like so profound. And then watching you guys roll at such a high level, I'm like, dude, this is insane. You guys are doctors of a science of strangulation and submission.
It's crazy though, because like even for doctors, like science changes all the time. Jiu-jitsu and the thoughts and concepts of jiu-jitsu change drastically in a very short period of time. Mm-hmm. So even from where I started jiu-jitsu to where it is now, it's an entirely different thing.
Yeah. So where did you start?
I started back in the day in Atlanta at this gym called Velocity. So if like anybody has watched like Bellator, like Douglas Lima, like he's the guy that started around the same time I did in that same gym. And then like the Asuncao brothers, like my first class ever was with Rafael Asuncao, who's like top 10 ranked bantamweight in the UFC right now. And ironically enough, first day he showed me a straight ankle lock. Kind of been in love with leg locks since.
Yeah. So you've been doing leg locks for 14 years then, and then it's sort of new on the scene within the last maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, probably a little longer than that now.
Okay.
It's probably been about 5 or 6. But it really blew up on the scene with like the Danaher guys doing them a lot. And then you had like your guys like Team Lister. But one of my first coaches had a Sambo background. So I learned like basic heel hooks very early and then kind of adapted my own style and game to it.
Now, is that where it originates from?
A Sambo background?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it. Just because like when I started jiu-jitsu, leg locks were kind of taboo. Like, yeah, like Rafael showed me a straight ankle lock first day, and they were kind of cool with straight ankles. But like, I remember it was a whole big thing where like the Brazilians would get all pissed off when people do leg locks.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've always heard Like when you do leg locks, it's because you can't pass the guard. You just fall back.
I think that's a cop out, honestly. Because here's the thing: is leg locks open up passing, passing opens up leg locks. So when you know both of them, it makes both better. Uh, so if you're only relying on one or the other, your game's never going to be complete.
Let me ask you this. Whenever you have a brand new student, do you have like brand new students that come in, or do you have
Yep.
mostly competitors? So you do have new students like totally white belt, never had an ounce of mat time in their life?
Yeah. My very first student at our school was my buddy Keith. He's 400 pounds, has one leg, does jujitsu because he loves to. He'll compete occasionally, but
Yeah.
that's what he's there for. And then I have guys that are Army Rangers who just do it to stay in shape and like want to learn stuff. And then I have competitive guys. So
Mhm.
they all kind of train the same. Like everyone learns everything from day one. There's nothing we hold back on.
Now, what when you had that very first class, for those who some of my listeners, they are not into jujitsu at all.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? What is your little elevator speech for somebody who's contemplating maybe thinking about doing jujitsu?
Uh, well, first off, it's depending. Like you want to find out their reasoning why they're doing jiu-jitsu. Doing anything in life, like if you find out somebody's reason why, it's a lot easier to convey to them like what their goals will be and how it'll be structured towards their goals. If you have someone who's coming in like blank, it's a little harder. Uh, but I always just tell them like, look, we do this because it's fun, have fun, enjoy it, and try to just enjoy the learning process of it. Because at the end of the day, the biggest things for jujitsu is like people love learning and they love accomplishing goals. So you get to do both of those things. You learn new skills, accomplish goals daily. So feeds into that.
Yeah, and that was a big reason why I wanted to have you on, because I just from some of the posts that I saw, you are more of that you dive deeper into the why of things, and you
Yeah.
ask a lot of questions, and it seems like you're more in tune than some folks that I've met, um, about that part of jujitsu. And you brought up two big prongs for myself, and a lot of what we stand for at Stars Podcast is a lot of self-leadership is based around that continuous learning process and setting really big goals for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that has always been sort of a focal point for you? Or is that maybe not even on your radar and you just kind of do it because?
No, I feel like it's always kind of been a focal point. Like you always have to have your reasonings and stuff like that, stuff that'll keep you disciplined and strong. Also, I just had the benefit of having very good coaches around me from an early age. So like if you have good coaches, they make it known and be like, hey, we're working towards a goal. Everything you do works towards that goal. Every little bit helps. So that also helps. I go back to my high school football coach. He used to always his favorite thing to say, he'd be like, fake it till you make it. So do everything that somebody successful would do until you are successful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that's just what I always think about.
Yeah, I embody that quite a bit. And I always like to, I'm never the first guy to do something. Like I won't go, I'm not as creative as a lot of people, but I love people who are creative. And then I'll look at what they've done and I'll sort of, I don't want to say I copy them, but I sort of copy what they do and then and make it my own. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't take a drawing of a dog and like trace the dog and say, hey, this is Ron's. But you know what I mean? So I always look at somebody who's successful at something that I'd like to be successful at and understand how they got there. And that brings me to, what does 12 to 13-year-old Quentin think about you today? What is he
I
like?
probably wouldn't believe it, honestly.
Okay.
Uh, honestly, I just wanted to get in jujitsu because I wanted to fight MMA. And I went down the MMA path and realized that maybe that wasn't the path for me. There wasn't a lot of money to be made unless you're the guy. Uh, and I just had more fun doing jujitsu. So I don't know. I feel like the young me would be very happy with where it all turned out. He knew I was going to wind up here doing this like this.
Yeah.
But that being said, like that's a long road between the young me and the me of today. There's a lot of trial and error through there, but
Mm-hmm.
it's fun.
So you said you went down the MMA path. Did you
Uh
go
huh.
pro at all?
No, I had a few amateur fights. My first fight, I won in a minute by knee bar. Second fight, I lost a split decision, even though I broke the guy's leg with a leg lock. Uh,
Wait,
but
hang
because he
on,
was on
hang
top, I
on.
gave him a split decision.
You broke the guy's leg and he won?
Yeah, yeah, he won a split decision. I had to carry him out of the ring. He's actually a friend of mine now. It's really funny. We talk about it. It's ridiculous. And then I was supposed to have a third fight in Florida where this promotion tried to, like, I went down there, weighed in, show up the day of the fight, and they're like, "You're the kickboxing fight, right?" I was like, "Nah, I said I was going to do MMA. I said I was going to choke this guy out. I did a whole interview." And they're like, "Oh, we have you down here for kickboxing." I was like, "Well, I drove down here. Let's do it." And then the guy never showed up. And then they were supposed
Oh,
to pay me travel money and stuff like that. And
yeah.
after I got back to Atlanta, I was like, I have like no money. I didn't get to fight. This is ridiculous. I was like, I'm gonna get my black belt and then maybe come back to MMA when I have a bigger name around me. And then I watched too many guys that like I came up with kind of get a little punch drunk doing MMA and not
Mhm.
really see their dreams come to fruition, or they'd make it to like the UFC and they would go very far in it. Or one of the biggest key factors for me for not going back in MMA ever is I had a conversation with Cole Miller. Anybody knows Cole? Cole has like the most subs and like, or at least he did for the long time in UFC history, and was like a lightweight, bunch of like post fight bonuses. But he told me he was basically living off his credit cards and used his fights to pay off his credit cards. And I was like, oh, that's not going to be me.
Yeah, and
So
he's
went the
killing it.
jiu-jitsu out.
And he's
Yeah.
has the records and he's still having to live off credit cards, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
is
I
a
was like,
rough lifestyle.
jiu-jitsu.
Like I just feel like even being a gym owner is a rough lifestyle, because the ebbs and flows of attendance and things like that. But you having a bigger name, like you said, around yourself and being, because you're visible now, like you're visible on
Yeah.
a high level. Do you think that helps you in a certain sense, and does it put a lot of pressure on you to perform?
No, I never really feel a lot of pressure. It's jujitsu. Here's the thing, like even the best guys in the world in jujitsu lose at jujitsu. Like nobody goes undefeated, nobody's perfect. So is there pressure now? Do I feel like I like to compete for my students, like do well for them? For sure. But I, as far as like it building a name, like it helps a little bit, but like the only people who really know who I am are people who do jujitsu. So we might get like higher belts occasionally to come in, but all the new people that come in, they come in status because it's a cool, chill environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have fun. They have no idea who I am.
Yeah. And then the other side too. So like I love whenever you guys at the highest level, you have the gi, or not the gi, but the no gis that are, you had a tie on the
Oh
one, like
yeah,
the playfulness, the yin and the yang. You got the one side is just this savage jujitsu guy, and then the other side he's wearing a tuxedo type of nogi. So I'm like,
yeah.
I love the yin yang part of that, man. So like the playful attitude, do you feel like that's something that is beneficial whenever you go into these matches?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you take yourself too seriously, you never do as well as you can. The more playful and creative you are when you're competing, like the less stress you have on yourself, the better you're gonna perform. Like I try to put no stress on myself, no pressure. I just go out there, I have fun. I treat it the same way I would any day in the gym, and that's the way I would be in the gym. I'd have some goofy rash guard on, and I
Yeah.
try to kill you with a smile on my face.
And you brought up a word there, is creative, and that's a lot of what jujitsu ends up being, is creativity.
Yeah.
What other hobbies do you have that exercise that creativity?
Oh man, I don't really do much else.
Okay.
I go to the beach and I do jujitsu. So I don't know. Like, occasionally I'll get a little artsy and like draw and stuff like that, but jujitsu is really like the only thing I do. That and like strength and conditioning for jujitsu. And try to focus on like my lesson plans for my students and doing all
Hmm.
the social media obligations that I have now. But yeah, no, I don't have a lot of hobbies outside of that. I've gotten really
Well,
good at film editing now. So that's probably like the next closest thing for being creative, like having to do all the film editing for the like stuff I make for Instagram or the stuff for my website. So I guess that's another creative avenue that I've been using.
oh yeah, 100%. And I know the editing lifestyle is one of, my God,
Oh
it's
yeah. No, if you would have
hours.
told me I would have had to learn how to do that coming into like martial arts, I would have been like, what?
Well, that's what
But yeah,
initially
no, it
had
takes a
me
while.
reaching out to you also was I'm like, wait a minute, that's my music. He's doing editing. And then I was like, dude,
Yeah,
we gotta hook up. So are you using the Filmora for your
I
editing?
use DJI
Okay.
because I have like one of those gimbals, so it's whatever editing software came with the DJI in their software.
Mm-hmm.
And I love their products. I'm probably gonna end up getting one of their drones here soon to start filming my rolls.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, they're great.
So you film a lot of your roles, you put a lot of content out there. Do you feel like it's helping you evolve your game quicker by being able to watch yourself roll on videos?
Uh, I mean, 100%. Well, that's really why I started doing it. Is like I would just record myself to see like the mistakes I made or like good things I did, and then I was like, oh wait, I can use this as content for my social media because I try to make sure that I at least get 1 to 2 things posted up a day, just so people can see like what I'm doing, whether it be like my workouts or like rolls or I'll throw techniques up there. But like the rolls themselves really just came in because they're like, oh, that was cool. I should post that on my social media, and then they would do well. Like
Mm-hmm.
some of my best videos that I've posted up have been like this crazy stuff I hit rolling in the gym, and people love it.
Yeah, I've looked at some of the comments through there, and I mean, you have some of the names of the names running through your Instagram.
Oh yeah. I always joke, be like, I'm your favorite grappler's favorite grappler.
Yeah, that's actually a really good tagline. I like that. Very cool. So, you have the Distinguished Apes shirt on. I got to ask you about it. What is Distinguished Apes?
Oh, honestly, I don't even know. I think it's a clothing company. I bought it from
Okay,
my buddy Sean Applegate. He started my gym, and it just cracked me up. So I was like, I gotta
I
get one
like
of
it because
those.
he's got the bowler hat on.
Oh yeah,
That's legit. Absolutely legit. So, are you? Let me ask you this: the the videos that you're posting out there. You said you have social media obligations now. Is that because of sponsors, or is that just an obligation to
yeah.
yourself?
No. I try to just like there are certain sponsors that I work with that like have me make videos for them. Like I love my Grappito. Like I just started working with them because I liked their product. And then they started like having me come up with workouts and stuff for them that they post up. So I do stuff like that. I work with So Right. They hook me up with all their products. So like I'll do videos of like So Right stuff and how I work with it. And I've been on their podcast too, like their live Q&A they do through Instagram with their head trainer, which is really cool. I also work with YM CBD. So I'll do posts with them. Like I was in their last commercial too. And then I'm also working with Red Bowie. They sponsored my team for that last Gym Crashers event that we won. So I got a lot of companies I work with right now.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
that's gotta be a gratifying thing too. Just coming from where you just shared with us that MMA situation just didn't work out, and then to be able to transition into a situation now where you have companies coming to you to do
Yeah. Well,
sponsors,
that
like
took a
that's
really long time.
yeah.
So
I mean, I understand it's a really long time, but you know when people are setting out to accomplish these big goals and to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, like just being a black belt in jiu-jitsu is a big goal, and then
yeah.
to compete at that high level is just it takes it to another level. And you mentioned too that you played football in high school, so have you always been this very much a competitive mindset?
Uh Honestly, probably no.
Okay.
I started out like a pretty like out of shape nerdy kid, and then like I got to high school and started playing sports and stuff. This is like, all right, I gotta get in shape kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I think that's just something that like fosters over time. Like the more you do things, the more competitive you get. And I was always a big Michael Jordan fan growing up, and you always hear him talk about like never like to lose at anything. So I would listen to stuff like that on like YouTube when I was like real young, like when YouTube was first a thing.
Uh-huh.
Just listen to Michael Jordan talking or like
No
higher level
way.
athletes talking, just build that competitive drive in your head.
Do you listen to anybody now? Who are like your top, I don't know, two or three that you listen to now?
I like listening to like CT Fletcher, like we do workout motivation stuff. I'll listen to some Eric Thomas stuff every once in a while. And then
Mhm.
like if I really want to get like a hard workout in, I'll just throw on like Last Dance. like episode 3, like when Jordan's like putting on size and stuff like that, and you're gonna
Uh-huh.
talk about it, I'll be like, oh, you wouldn't even count his reps till he was tired. So I'll do that sometimes too.
Dude, I never realized that like the Jordan story when that come out, I just always thought he was great, because I only knew him when he was great. And then to
Yeah.
see the struggle that he had on and the fact of the matter of him just getting bounced around because he was a young, sort of scrawny guy. And
Mhm.
he found that weakness in himself and in his game, and he was so driven to come back a whole different ball player. And when he did that and put on that muscle and come back, it was like you said, like that will get you fired up.
Oh yeah. No, I love that quote too. There was like a Phil Jackson quote where he was asking about the difference between Kobe and Michael, and he goes, "Kobe had to beat you at basketball. Michael had to beat you at everything." And
Yeah,
I can appreciate that.
absolutely. And that's something that I get in trouble for with my wife is like my daughter and I, she's the same way. Like we turn everything into a competition. Everything. It'll be like who
Oh,
can be the first to get done in the shower, like that type of stuff. And like is that something that you do too? Like you just form competitions out of
oh,
nothing?
yeah, yeah, I do. I always joke to my students too, because like every once in a while, like you get your students to like talk smack to you and stuff like that. So I always joke about like I have a record for the most times I'll like tap somebody in a 6 minute round, and for a while it was at 17. And then one of my students was talking smack to me one day, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna make this a competition. It's not gonna be good." And
uh
I told him, I looked at him, and I was like, "I'm gonna break my record today on you." And I tapped him like 22 times in 6 minutes.
ooh, ouch.
Yeah. So yes, I get in the competitive zone
Oh yeah,
quite
I
often.
hear that. Well, let me ask you. So you just said to me, you called it a gym takeover. You got your team won that.
Yeah. So it was like a 3-on-3 team event, and it's called Gym Crashers Pro, and it was in San Pedro, California, and yeah, we won.
Now, was that this past weekend? Because you were out there
No,
for a seminar. You
I was
said.
teaching at a camp. Yeah, it was like me, JT Torres, Taryn Darabidian, PJ Barge, Dan Camarillo, and Eric the Gentleman. We all did this 3-day camp in Redlands, California, and that was a lot
Nice.
of fun. But 2 weekends before that, I competed in Gym Crashers Pro with Adrian Nez and Chewy Urbina, and we won. And there was a bunch of like good teams there too. Like Kyle Chambers went on team in there with Kevin Burbich, Sean Martinez, who just tapped Lovato, was on a team in there. And we won. And I won all my matches altogether. I had like 3 matches, and it was like less than a minute of total match time. So that was cool.
Are you less than a minute and 3 matches?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's no big deal. He's like, yeah, that was cool. I went there.
Yeah. I
I've
mean,
I've been seeing a lot
we're good.
more of the quintet team style jiu-jitsu competitions, like 3-on-3 or like 8-on-8. I've seen a couple times. Do you see that becoming more of and here's why I'm asking this, because a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners who are professionals still are teaching also.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you have to keep the money flowing in, because the sport just isn't big enough to support it. And I look at jujitsu right now as like early Major League Baseball, where the greats still had full-time jobs. There might have been a select few that still like they just played baseball, but a lot had full-time jobs to support themselves, but they also love baseball. So like do you see a path forward for jujitsu to become like a baseball, or do you think it's better served as a smaller community?
No, I mean, I think obviously the community will grow. As far as it grows, I don't think it'll grow to like the size of like baseball. Uh, just because it's one of those things that like unless you play it, it's hard to be a fan of. Like you have to have some kind of like grasp and understanding of what's going on outside of it, even more so than like MMA or anything like that. Because MMA, like everyone can understand a knockout or just like seeing a sub, but jujitsu takes a little bit more finesse. But I will say, I think the team events are more fan friendly uh, than like just your one-off super fights and stuff like that, because you can
Mm-hmm.
play with the rules and have a really cool team dynamic that builds a lot of suspense and a lot of build up, and you get to learn the teams. Like kind of fall in love with them. And as a competitor, they're a lot of fun. Like especially the quintets. Like I have a lot of fun in quintets because you have the opportunity to wipe out a whole team of people, and
Mhm.
like you can have a highlight reel in one tournament.
Yeah.
The 3-on-3s are cool too because you got to learn how to play to the rules and the overtimes. Uh, but yeah. No, I think it's definitely the way it's going to grow because I think it's hard pressed to sell jujitsu as a one-off sport because we have such a bad taste in our mouth with one-off sports, like with boxing and stuff like that,
Yeah.
where you never get to see the best matchups and anything like that. Where in a team sport, like matchups just happen, which is kind of why I keep doing all the team events because I can't get super fights, but I can get on tons of team events, so it gets me matches.
Mhm. So you have trouble finding matches,
Yeah,
and that
it's a pain.
somebody put a post out there today. I think it was on BJJ Fanatics that could you imagine a professional football team saying, "Nah, I'm not going to play that team this Sunday. We're going to wait till the Dolphins are available in a couple weeks."
Yeah,
Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you notice people dodging matchups?
I mean, yeah, everyone likes to say that like no one will take a match with them and stuff like that. And then people take a match and they're like, "Oh, you're not qualified. You're not this. You're not that." Like I'm not that guy. I'll be like, "You want to match me, and there's a promoter that's going to pay me. We will have a match. I don't care."
Uh huh.
Uh, so yeah. You definitely see some of the bigger name guys picking and choosing, leaning towards matches that favor their style, or like maybe guys that have bigger names because they're scared to lose to somebody whose name is huge. So definitely see lots of stuff like that, and it's annoying because like it's like boxing. Like I love boxing, but you're never going to see the best fights that you want to see most of the time because the way the promoters are and the fighters play the game.
Mm-hmm. If you were to pick like your dream matchup that you would want to watch, who would you put up against? Like, it doesn't have to be you, if you don't want to put yourself in that. But who would you like to see go at it?
Huh? That's a good one. I mean, obviously, it'd be interesting to watch Hydra and Gordon, but yeah, maybe Hydra and Gordon. Yeah, that'd be interesting
Okay.
just to see how it play out.
And why do you think that
Now, if
that?
I'm picking for me, I would
Yeah.
really like to see me versus Gordon or Craig or one of those guys.
Uh
But
huh.
as like a fan, I could see Hydra Gordon.
And why is that matchup intriguing to you?
It's just the two guys that have been the most dominant in ADCC, right? Like it'd be interesting to see who could play the rule set and win. For me, I think Hodger might be able to edge it out. This is his understanding of the rules, and I find it hard pressed to see Gordon submitting him. But it would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And that brings me to another thing: is the rule sets are so different across all different promotions. Do you think that helps or hurts the sport in general?
Honestly, I think it helps because like the more rule sets you get, the more likely you're gonna find a rule set that someone enjoys. So like let's say like someone really likes fight to win. They like the production, they like all that, they like seeing the lower matchups. Cool, there's a fight to win for you to watch. Or people really like combat jiu-jitsu. They like the slaps and stuff like that. A little bit of strike to add a little bit more drama to it all. Cool, there's that. You like the team events. You like the building up of a team, supporting a team, watching how the story plays out. Cool, there's that. So like there's something for everybody. It's nice.
I wonder about that. If there's like, because like sometimes if you have too many options, that you thin out what could be, I guess.
Yeah.
But I understand it from a matchup standpoint. I like certain rule sets more than I'd like to watch other rule sets. I like the no limit format because it just keeps going until either somebody's cardio gives out and they give up a stupid position and they get submitted, or you know they end up finishing it early, like yourself in 3 matches in under a minute.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I mean, ideally, that's how all jiu-jitsu should be, right? No time limit, sub only, and see who wins. But the thing is, not everyone's going to go at each other for the like a no time limit. They'll just stall, wait, hope for like some sort of draw. It'll take like 40 minutes. They'll hope someone tires.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really just dependent on the competitors you have going at each other. But like the EBI rule set, I like to. You get a definitive winner. Uh, you win the overtime. Someone gets subbed, even if it's ride time. It's
Yeah.
understandable what happened.
Yeah, and I think the EBI rule set is really great to because you're always going to have a set time. Like there's
Yeah,
always it's always going to be, you have whatever I can't remember how many minute match, but like you have the X minute of match and then you have the overtimes and it's over. Like for
yeah,
sure, and then you have, like you said, you have the definitive winner, which I also enjoy that part because there's always going to be a definitive winner, and if you don't want it to go to that overtime, well, you got to push the pedal down.
yeah, yeah. No, it used to drive me crazy back in the day watching like IBJJF Worlds. You see someone win by an advantage, they get up, open their D, and scream, and
Yeah,
you're
go
like,
crazy.
that is entirely subjective. Like the ref could have like not given you an advantage. Like you're celebrating that. Like I'd be so disappointed in myself if I won that way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if you win by just because the like you said, like it's still blowing my mind. It's still in the back of my head. Like you broke a guy's leg and still lost the match. Like that is the ultimate ref's decision that I just it's a head scratcher. Sometimes you just wonder what they're watching on occasion, but
Yeah, I mean this is a long time ago. It's hard. Like
yeah,
it was hard pressed to win MMA fights back in that day if you spent the majority of it on the bottom. Even if what you're doing on bottom is dominant, they
yeah.
just didn't have an understanding of it.
No, that makes sense. And like you said, the sport is young and it's always evolving. And it goes through these evolutions. And a lot of the times, you have to have a working knowledge and be involved in jujitsu to even understand. And I'm saying like I understand like I do, but I mean I have like such a surface level knowledge of what goes on when you're on the bottom versus on the top, and which way your feet are placed, and if that's an advantage to you versus the other guy. I'm still learning all of that too. And I can only imagine a referee who has never done jujitsu and is just an accredited referee.
Yeah.
It would probably be very difficult to understand that. Um, so
Yeah,
what do you?
especially like 7 years ago.
Oh yeah, because um, and I don't, and I've just recently gotten into jujitsu, like I said, in the last few years, so I don't even really understand the evolution of it. So I'm coming at it from a very new era perspective. But what do you have coming up? I mean, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'll be doing the ADCC trials in November for sure. We keep trying to find somebody to face me for me to defend my catch wrestling title. We were trying to do 3 matches in one night, but all three of the guys fell off. So I don't know when I'll be able to do that.
And where
Hopefully, I'll
is the
get some
catch
matches here soon.
wrestling? What promotion is that through?
Sapaterio Invitational in Florida.
Oh, okay.
I'm the current catch wrestling world champ, also. So that's a lot of
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, very good. I've had him on the podcast as well. He's phenomenal.
Who, Josh?
Yeah, Leduc.
Oh yeah, well, Beats my boy.
Yeah.
He was my manager for the longest time too. He's a great dude.
Yeah, he just seems like a really great guy, and he's looking out for the athletes 100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. He's not like this slimy handler that a lot of the times you hear about. Like he's just a legit guy.
Yeah, no, he just likes good jujitsu and he likes helping the
Yeah.
community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's very free with the information too that he gave me even to sort of put on our own competition up here in Pennsylvania. So like he's just I can't say enough good things about him. So if he ever comes up, I'm always all for him. But you're the catch wrestling champ over there.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm the current lineal world champ too. But I don't know. Catch wrestling's fun. It's a fun rule set.
So
Their fans are a
I
little
don't know
crazy.
what current lineal champ means.
So like in the history of catch wrestling, it's like kind of like old school boxing, right? So they really only had like one real champ that's like the catch wrestling heavyweight world champ. And for the longest time, it was this guy, Curran Jacobs. And then I faced him and destroyed him. So that made me the catch wrestling lineal world champ. So I'd beaten the guy who beaten the guy who beaten the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I defended it once too. But there's other catch wrestling organizations. They're all upset about it because some jiu-jitsu guy is the catch wrestling world champ. so they don't really acknowledge me. But it is what it is.
Ooh, that's rough.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, sometimes it is like that. Curran Jacobs, I for some reason is there's something in the Midwest coming up in July that I felt like he was on the card. It's a 10th Planet Midwest something. It was a finishers
Uh,
tournament.
I don't think Curran's on it.
No,
It's probably
maybe
somebody
maybe
else.
I'm mixing up.
No,
Maybe I'm mixing
he's
up
in the middle of
names.
making that. They're making some documentary about catch wrestling for the love of catch. I think he's doing that.
Ah, got it. Got it. So, were you a wrestler then, or no?
I wrestled in high school and stuff like that, but outside of that, not really. Like I was
Hmm.
part of a high level wrestling club in Atlanta for the last few years, just because to be a good ADCC competitor, you have to have really good wrestling. Uh, but I didn't grow up my whole life doing wrestling. Though.
So you had adult onset wrestling.
Basically, yeah.
I love it, man. So you have the school, you have all the sponsors that you need. You're having trouble finding matches on the one-on-ones, but the team stuff's going well for you. You
Mm-hmm.
have you have a bunch of belts. You're lineal champ. I mean, hell of a resume, dude. Hell of a
Yeah.
resume. It's honestly like I say all of those things, and you're very cool, calm, and collected about it. But that is a hell of a resume, and that's a lot of years of experience. And your students are certainly going to benefit from that. What student, if you want to give a shout out or highlight to a student that's really coming up and going after it, I'd love to hear more about one of the students coming up through.
Yeah. I mean, majority of my students are still like lower belts. Like, I have one black belt that trains under me now, Steel McCall, and he's great. He teaches our time in our program. But I have like a couple blue belts that are like really good on the come up. Like, there's this kid Sam Worthington, like just a local kid from here who started like day one at my gym. And now he's like a pretty decent little guy. We took him down to a tournament in Jacksonville and he won it easy. And then I have another like smaller guy, Adrian Wagman, like been putting in work. He started with Sean Applegate in Atlanta, but came down here. He's been training his ass off. And it's really starting to show. Like we'll have black belts that come through the gym and my blue belts will just murder them. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah. And that's something I've noticed too. Like the level, some gyms have a different threshold for their belt promotions.
Oh
Like
yeah.
those are drastically different sometimes.
Well, I literally just had this conversation with one of my blue belts who's like, he's pretty close to a purple belt, but he's been competing a bunch and he keeps beating black belts. He goes, oh, when are you gonna give me my purple belt? I've been beating black belts. And I was like, who's black belts? Not my black belts. Beat other
Yeah.
people's black belts. I was like, that doesn't mean anything to me.
What do you
but
think about that? Somebody asking for promotions.
I don't know. Like if you're gonna ask, you better come with some valid points because you're gonna like it's a little bit one of those things where like you're not supposed to ask, but like it's human nature to ask. Everyone's gonna ask at some point. Be like, hey,
Mhm.
where do you think I am? What do you think? Uh, so like I don't mind it too much. It's just when people get forceful with it that I'm like, hold up, you're gonna wait a little bit longer now. But no, I think it's good to know what you need to do to achieve the next belt. So if you were like, hey, like what would I need to do to get to this? Like I'd understand that. But if you're like, hey, I should be this, then
Mhm.
you're gonna wait a while.
What do you and I asked this for a personal reason. What are your thoughts about having an actual curriculum as as a staple in your program for somebody to come in and say, okay, you need to learn these 600 moves before you can move on to your blue belt?
I mean, I don't think that's necessarily like the best idea, honestly. Because if you think about it, most people's game generally boils down to a handful of moves that they use for their body type that works for them. It's not 600 moves. So as long as people have base understandings of like each position and what to do in each position that works for them, like I could see promoting them as far as that. And as far as like having a curriculum, I think having like a formulated curriculum actually holds you back because of the evolution of the game. Like jujitsu is in a constant state of flux and flow. Like there's new things added, new ideas, new creations, things that completely change the game. And if you have a curriculum, you don't leave that room for growth there really.
Okay. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do
I
like a
think
month out plan of what I'm going to do. So
yeah.
each month I know where it's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense. And maybe just having a rough outline of what you want to do from a macro standpoint, and then the
Oh
micro is
yeah.
that
Because
monthly.
you'll see your classes and you'll see across the board stuff that people are struggling in and stuff like that. So you might have to put that in. Like, let's say, like, I noticed my guys are struggling in mount. Like, everyone's getting mounted and they're having trouble getting out. Like, all right, well, I know next week I'm going to add this to the curriculum. We're going to work on mount escapes and countering the mount position. Or if I see someone struggling with takedowns, they don't look comfortable, like, oh, I guess it's time we got to work some takedowns, some stuff that's going to play into their game. So,
yeah, that makes total sense. And that's a great coach too, to be able to recognize that and pivot, and having the know-how to get it done for those specific body types. Because you're right, there's certain body types that can't do certain moves. The
yeah.
inversions and especially are very difficult for people who don't have very good flexibility.
Yeah, inversions usually are more of a technical thing. It's usually more of just people getting comfortable to getting to their shoulders. But again, it takes time to build and get more comfortable in those positions.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the guy I was telling you about, Keith, the 400-pound guy with one leg, like that dude can invert. So if he can invert, anyone can invert.
Yeah, I love that stance on it too. I just lost my train of thought because I was going to ask you about that inversion piece of it. It doesn't matter. So what do you have? What do you have going on today? Just regular classes?
Yeah, just regular classes. Trying to like shake the jet lag from this weekend, because all the travel and stuff like that. But yeah, this same thing I do every day. I wake up, I walk around town, get breakfast, I lift weights, and then I go teach. If I'm lucky, I'll fit some beach time in the middle in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So your day is really consisted of constantly training.
Yeah, no. Jiu-jitsu is basically all I do.
Yeah. No, and that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all, especially at such a high level. I'm sure that, it's a job. So you punch in whenever you want to punch in, really, but you hold yourself to a standard that likely most people wouldn't be able to on a consistent basis. So I applaud you for that. And where can our listeners find you, especially on Instagram? Because I look at that shit and I'm like, I got to go do something.
All right, so I'm at Quentin Rosenzweig on Instagram, or at 10psav. Those are my two Instagram handles. At Quentin Rosenzweig also on Facebook, and my website is hitmanacademy.com. Check it out. Have instructions up there. Also check out my BJJ Fanatics Leg Lock Obsession instructional, and then I have two instructionals on Brandon McCaffrey's website, Punjabi, or the BMAC Academy. I have Hitman Back Attacks and Pandemic Leg Locks. And now I have another instructional that I'll be coming out with here soon with Budo videos. Got the chance to meet Budo Jake the other weekend, which is a very nostalgic, cool thing for me because I used to watch all his videos coming up. And I'm going to do an instructional with them as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today, Quentin. And I look
Thanks
forward
for having
to, yeah, absolutely, man. I look forward to seeing where you end up. Thank you. As always, guys, enjoy the journey. Take care. Have a good day.
So the journey has begun. If you guys listening to our content today had any kind of value, or you were moved in any way, please feel free to subscribe, pass it on, let everybody know that these two guys are the truth. They're out here just trying to do good things to make good people. Thanks.